So I actually would have these as competing with the London Scholars as my top Southern team.
There you go. Bradley Hirons, apologies if I've pronounced that wrong, he said that his team Halifax will reach the qualifiers.
I think that's a pretty safe hope.
You would be disappointed as a Halifax fan if you were in the Championship Shield competition, but I think if they get in, it'll be fourth, I think. Things can go wrong for this Halifax side in terms of player turnover.
I suppose it's between them and Fev, isn't it, for that fourth spot?
Yeah, and I'm inclined to say that I think Fev are
but with the
stronger.
backtrack of Sheffield and Bradford through off-field issues primarily.
I actually think Sheffield will be stronger this year for reverting back to being part-time, and some of the people that they brought through Sheffield could be a force in that division, more so than people probably give them credit for.
We'll touch on Sheffield in a minute, but the real force of that division is probably going to be Hull Kingston Rovers. We've got a few Hull KR heads getting in touch. And we start with Ben Breen. He says that he expects them to get back into Super League, as does Sean Pexton, who thinks there's going to be promotion. Wes Murray also thinks promotion to Super League. Tim G Radio, he says, bringing the razzle-dazzle to the Championship. It'll be Harlem Globetrotter-style tour of the lesser grounds, or we'll chug along with Sheenia selections until we scrape into the top four, and then who knows?
Well, there you go. Yeah. That all makes a lot of sense.
A lot of them are on board what you think. I think they'll get close, but not quite reach the promise. Get back to the promised land.
The promised land. Wayne Evans gets in touch. He's a Hunslet fan. He says that he thinks his boys are going to finish in the top 8 and then win the playoff final against Doncaster. So he's discounted Barrow from the conversation as well.
Confidence there.
Very confident. I'm not sure that that's something I would echo as an outsider looking in, but I do have a soft spot for Hunslet, so I hope he's right in some senses. I quite like him.
Yeah, they're not my favourite League One side, but not through anything more than I like other sides more.
Yeah.
I don't see them getting back as a force or kicking on again this year. I see them sort of possibly even missing out on the promotion party in terms of the playoffs like last year.
Yeah.
I see them having a similar year to last year.
There you go. London Broncos, Mark.
Quite a lot of Broncos fans, as we expect from the guys down there, so it's great to have them all in touch. I'm confused if Paul Campbell's done 2 of them, to be honest, but we'll get to that. Start with Chris Macy.
There's a good chance. He's done it twice and not realised, didn't he?
And given totally different things both times, yeah.
I can't criticise him for that. We all do that from time to time.
Chris Macy, he says, if all goes well, then we should look to aim for one better than last year. £1 million game should be our goal, but that's a long way off. I also think we have a pretty good chance of topping the league, but top 2 should be our minimum requirement. Getting our academy upgraded again would be fantastic. Need to aim for bigger crowds and more marketing now we are a bit more settled. Paul says, I am expecting London to be top 2. To improve on last season, then they need to finish top and get the £1 million game and get promoted. Anything less than I would see as a poor season. I think he means anything less than top 2.
Yeah.
I think the squad is good enough to get promoted, but we will see.
I think that's altogether too cogent a paragraph to be Paul Campbell, but okay.
John Dix, who says, long time no contact. Yeah, I was wondering what happened to John.
Hiya, John.
It's great to have you back getting in touch, John. Nice to hear from you. He says, with Leigh out of the way and question marks over Bradford's reincarnation, then the £1 million game after beating Hull KR on the way, real progress in 2017 if that happens. Aaron Smith, our friend from down there at the Brentwood Eels, who've had a few of their young lads sign academy deals with the Broncos. Oh. That's great to see. London Broncos to beat the Catalan Dragons in the £1 million game to gain promotion to Super League and see Catalan Dragons have to battle it out with Toulouse and Toronto in 2018 to regain Super League status. Wow. That's a say what, isn't it?
That's almost a say what, isn't it?
Ian Gatwood, he says top 4 then who knows, and another one from Paul, might be a different Paul. He says, win everything.
That's probably our Paul.
No, because the other one had Reece Williams as winning the Man of Steel and had London winning the Challenge Cup final. So that was Paul Campbell, even though that paragraph was not.
Oh, I see. maybe you got Lucy to write the paragraph this bit.
I think top 2 for the London Broncos as well. I think there's only 2 genuine full-time teams there with Toulouse as the wild card, but I don't know enough to predict that Toulouse will. They've brought in some decent players, but London have already got decent players. They have strengthened from last year.
Oh yeah.
I like London's squad, and I think top 2 is happening.
I do too, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Oxford RL, Ollie Smith got in touch. He said, for Oxford, I'd like us to be the best in the South and perform an upset over a Northern team. Would also be nice to be drawn against a Super League side in the Challenge Cup for the first time in our history. Yeah, it'd be nice to see Oxford. They're making steady improvement over the last few years, haven't they? So
yeah, I don't see them being the top side in the South, but I think maybe a win over a Northern club might happen. It would be lovely to see them get a reward in the Challenge Cup in some way.
Absolutely, it would mean a lot to them as a club and their coffers, wouldn't it?
Finally, we finished with the Sheffield Eagles and our old friend Daniel Fowler.
Moves in different circles these days, don't he? DF Sports.
Yeah. DFS Sports.
Yes, that's the one. I was trying to remember what we used to take the mickey out of. It's lovely to see his career starting to take off and the more contributions he makes to different websites and things like that.
Yeah,
from knowing him first getting in touch with us and
when he was like pre-university days and stuff. I remember reading his.
Remember when you were grooming him while he was doing his A level and having to explain what the crack was to your missus.
That was with Josh.
Was that different? Right, fair enough.
Probably both of them. Yeah. Anyway, Daniel says
you're not picky, are you?
An interesting year where a few Leigh players, because they've signed a dual registration deal with Sheffield for background there, will make a mark on our team and probably on the opposition too. Expect a mid-table finish, which I'd have snapped your hand off a month or two ago due to not knowing whether we'd have a team or not. Mark Aston has done a great job to assemble a decent side, and fingers crossed we will perform well. I think he's got the nail on the head there. I think there'll be a Championship Shield semi-finalist again, like last year. Well, they were the finalists, weren't they, last year? So I think that's where they'll be. I don't see top 4, but I do see solid mid-table stuff.
Yeah, but silverware in the Championship Shield, I think.
Maybe.
If the Bulls don't win it. Okay, well, thank you very much for everyone who got in touch regarding our League One and Championship clubs. I guess it's time to say what? Okay, it's time for our Say What predictions. This was an ad hoc thing that you added on at the end, and I think it's brilliant, Mark. We've had some really cool contributions from people. This was people's not totally wild and out there predictions. We wanted it to be within the realms of possibility, if not within the realms of probability, and the Super League pod listeners have brought us a bit of gold.
A little bit different, a little bit fun, a little bit bold.
Yeah.
We've had to cull because we're running quite long, but... Some of them, to be honest, were far too plausible.
Yes, you missed the point. We don't want you to take it seriously.
The odd one is things that had actually happened in the past.
Oh wow!
So I didn't want to. So we had to dip some of those out, but we've enjoyed them all in the different ways, and there's some absolute crackers that we're going to go with. I'll give you mine first.
Okay.
Yours is a bit boring, but you can give it.
I don't think it's boring at all. I think it's certainly
we had a lot of others similar to yours, so yours is the only one of that nature. I think that makes it.
And I host the podcast, so I get in.
We had quite a lot of them similar to mine, but not quite pushing the boundary as far as I've done. So mine was the George Williams and Matty Smith halfback combo will reunite for England and lead them to the World Cup final. And then if I was really going for it, I'd say Matty Smith kicks the winning drop goal for England.
I'll have that. I'll take that every day of the week. Mine is pedestrian after that. Flight of fancy. Bulls/Northern into the middle eights.
But equally improbable.
Yes. You never know.
Okay, David Wadsworth, he says, Tom Johnson to be leading try scorer, James Batchelor to be Young Player of the Year, Wakefield Trinity to be there or thereabouts for the top 4 playoffs.
Wow. Yeah, that certainly qualifies. Mark Wilco, he got in touch and said he foresees the return of the cross-code fixture, Cass versus Sale win against Denny.
Brilliant.
I think I'd rather have the cash alternative at the moment, to be honest.
No, he's flying. He's banging the tries, isn't he?
Yeah.
Whereas Josh Charnley's like having to get hand warmers because he ain't getting.
He's not getting, is he?
He's playing. Well,
is he not?
He's standing on the pitch.
Well, there you go.
Peter Norton, he says St Helens to be taken over by Donald Trump and bring in the Burgess brothers. There you go.
Deary me, that's, yeah. Ugh. Ian Gatwood says Toronto will merge with Bradford and play some home games at Odsal after the RFL realise no games will take place at their ground, and Wakefield will play home games at Odsal on other occasions. Well, it's nice to see we can accommodate all these other teams.
Owen Hughes, he said, I want one day for a Super League semi for Salford.
I'm sorry, Ian, yeah. Have a team that plays in the same ground for more than 4 years and then we'll talk.
Owen wants a Super League semi-final, but he's not quite that optimistic, so he's going to say Marwan Kukash to quit, in brackets, whilst drinking, after a crushing defeat to Leigh, and then go back on it the next morning.
There you go.
The drink and the team, I think.
Good lad. Well, on the subject of the drink, Paul gets in touch. He says, Bradford to lose 3 games all season and beat Wigan in the middle eights, loads of smiley faces, and topped by some beers, brackets, bit of a stretch that last bit. I tell you what, if that comes true, Paul, I'll meet you anywhere you want and take you for a pint, mate.
Colin Render says, Sean Wayne smiles, Rob Burrow gets a growth spurt and moves to prop. Kukash stays quiet all season and lets Salford get on with it. England win the World Cup. All unlikely, but which one's the most unlikely? Well, Kukash.
I suspect the Kukash. Well, no, Rob Burrow has a growth spurt and moves to prop. How is that not the most unlikely? The man's in his late 30s. It's not going to grow another 2 feet, is he?
No.
Put on 5 stone. Right, the Wakey White says Sean Wayne to crack a smile, and Wakey versus Cass in the Challenge Cup final. Not sure of which of these is more improbable, to be honest.
Saw Sean smiling in October, and I'm sure we will again.
I've seen Sean Wayne smile. He smiles about at least 3 times a day whenever he gets, whenever he pushes dinner through his bars.
Paul O'Brien says, Toronto to only win a handful of games and not gain promotion, but Bradford to reform and finish in the top 4 and challenge for Super League, and then Leigh to lose every game this year.
Oh, Paul, I was so horrible about your team earlier.
But he's been horrible like everyone else's now, apart from yours.
Knows what side
Certainly some shocks there.
Knows what side his bread's put on the kid. Okay, Shoddy Mungo, Alan said, right now, Bradford having 17 players on the field at Hull KR is closer to improbable than possible. Oh, how things have changed since then.
Joe Boyd says, vegetarian snacks other than chips rolled out across all Super League grounds, enforced by the RFL through threat of a points deduction in the following season if not adhered to. Also, you should have asked who's going to get relegated from Super League. It's Widnes.
Well, there you go. We did ask, and
no, we didn't.
Did we not?
It's not one of the questions.
Was it not?
No.
Oh, I thought we did.
We didn't need to ask that, did we?
Well, there you go. It is Widnes, though. You're right, Joe. And I like falafel as a snack. I'll buy falafel from a falafel salesman at Odsall.
I make some falafel occasionally.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I like a falafel.
Yeah.
It's not vegetarian, but I like lamb kofta as well.
it's not vegetarian at all.
No. So I did say it's not vegetarian, but I started thinking of falafel, and then lamb kofta is a bit like falafel, but with lamb.
Okay. It's more like, curried lamb meatballs, but go on.
What is falafel? Curry flavoured-ish fucking chickpea balls.
Yeah, true.
Right, there you go then. Is it my turn?
Yes.
John Dix, he says, long time no contact. Oh, you said that before, John. We've missed you. It might actually be Warrington's year. England will reach the World Cup final, and Danny Brough will accept all refereeing decisions with good grace and humour. Clearly, the last one is the red herring.
That's the one that got him in, though.
In that one, yeah, absolutely.
Dr. Bob Phillips says, JJB gets an MBE and leaves to become a vicar at the end of the season.
Oh, dear.
Imagine those sermons. Hey?
Dearly beloved! Oh my God! Can you imagine being married by Jamie Jones Buchanan? Or
This is a spin-off. I want there to be a Don't Tell the Bride. Jamie Jones Buchanan conduct the ceremony. Make it happen, people of Leeds.
Oh yes, fantastic! Oh, can you imagine if it was a christening? He's just like
crushes the baby.
Gets what? Oh, bloody baby! Fantastic. Cheers, Bob. Tyler Castleford says, Aren't you getting to be sin-binned for kissing the ref after scoring a try? It's good stuff.
Chris McEwen says, 2 players from the same side, maybe Salford or Huddersfield, to get sent off for having a fight with each other during a match. I'd have scratched that one, actually, if I'd thought about it, because that happened. Do you remember David Batty and Graham Lasso back in Blackburn Rovers Champions League campaign?
I can see your David Batty, Graham Lasso, and raise you a Leigh, Bowyer and Kieran Dyer.
Oh, yeah.
For Newcastle United in about 2004.
Yeah.
There you go. Lee Whitnall, he says, Wigan and Warrington will beat Cronulla and Brisbane. Wayne Bennett will be accused of throwing the game to build the England players' confidence. Cronulla will complain that the cold weather had affected the efficiency of the peptides they'd taken. We don't do that anymore.
Rich Langley, he has a string. He starts with, Gaz Hogg makes the England squad.
That's a fairly bold... Oh, you mean a string of answers?
A string of suggestions. They get bolder as they go, I think. I'm not sure.
I think questioning his man.
Toronto make the Challenge Cup quarterfinals.
Ooh.
SLP tops the iTunes podcast chart. Widnes to win more than 8 games.
No.
Langers to retain his SLP squad play. I told you some people carried that around like a trophy.
Well, of course.
Then 6, Hull to have more than 6 players in the dream team.
Oh, there's a couple of those that are legitimately going to happen. There's one of those that's